This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. For too long, women's serious midlife health issues have been trivialized, ignored, and met with a just deal with it attitude. Many of us have been made to feel ashamed or forgotten. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But here's the powerful truth. It's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI is not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic, founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. What sets MIDI apart? We are the only women's telehealth brand covered by major insurance companies, making high-quality expert care accessible and affordable. Our clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. We offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions, from hormonal therapies and weight loss protocols to lifestyle coaching and preventative health guidance. This isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will join our patients who feel seen, heard, and prioritized. You will find that our mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the health care they deserve. Because we believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
You are listening to Stages Podcast with Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. Welcome to Season 6. Here on Stages Podcast, we go behind the scenes and beyond the resume to explore the crossroads of creativity, spirituality, motherhood, and so much more. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. Give us 5 stars and a great review. It really helps us grow. Thanks for joining Stages Podcast, Season 6. Bookshelf.
I do.
Your bookshelf is color coordinated.
Yes.
Yeah, because you need it here, or aesthetically it just makes you happy?
Aesthetically, it makes me happy. Those
Okay.
are all books that I've read.
So you're a
Yeah.
big reader.
Yeah.
No Audible, just on book.
I do Audible as well. I do both.
I'm an Audible gal.
Yeah.
I love Audible.
Which
I-
totally constitutes reading. All the
100%. Totally.
scientists even say it is the same. Your brain is still
Yeah.
creating the world, and you're picturing all the things as if
Oh,
you
yeah,
were
yeah.
reading them off the page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fully co-sign, except for when my son tries to tell me that it's the same, in which case I'm like, no, you still have to
No.
actually read it
Right.
and learn reading comprehension.
Yeah. These rules change. You first have to prove that you're capable of reading at
Yeah.
your grade level, and
Yes.
then
And
Mary
then
Lee
we
may
and then
feel
we
a
can
little
discuss
different,
the
but-
other. No, we have that argument all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, it's totally reading, my love. And you can use that once you have graduated and have degrees.
Our conversation today is with an award-winning and best-selling author. Her life has given her a perspective that leaves one a bit stunned, aching with her, angry with her, congratulating and celebrating her, questioning why, and then in awe of her capacity to hold both grief and gratitude, sorrow and love. Her debut book, Normal Broken, the grief companion for when it's time to heal, but you're not sure you want to, and her most recent book, The Luckiest, a memoir of love, loss, motherhood, and the pursuit of self. They are both deeply personal and intimate offerings. You can feel her every emotion on every page. You feel as if you're walking alongside her and her family as they navigate some of the highest highs one might experience in life and the lowest depths of loss. There were moments while reading The Luckiest where I had to outwardly express myself. So I would scream, "Yes, Mama, go get him," as she strongly and smartly advocated for her child and for her own health. Or I would cry out, "No, no, 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 this can't be happening." And I know it may seem I'm being a bit vague about the circumstances surrounding Kelly Cervantes's life, because it is not my story to tell, and it certainly can't be neatly, in air quotes, summarized in an introduction. That is why I would ask you, our listeners, to ready your hearts, make space for an in depth dialogue with this incredibly well spoken, well humored, well expressed human, mama, wife, writer, speaker, advocate, and my sweet friend, Kelly Cervantes. Kelly Cervantes, to stage, please. Kelly, can we have you on stage?
Hi,
Hi,
Kelly.
that was the most beautiful introduction ever. Thank
Uh,
you so much.
oh, first of all, thank you. Secondly, congratulations, because the luckiest it. What do you in albums we say dropped, in books what is it? It was released.
Yeah, it was published.
It was published just in November.
Yeah,
So, I mean, girl, I'm looking at your very full tour schedule and it's a wild ride for you. You got a lot
yeah.
going on.
It's been a journey, but I mean that's I love writing, um, but I love being on a stage and connecting with people and hearing their stories and hearing about their loved ones or what pieces connect with them. I mean, that's the piece. That's the why.
That's the
That's the
why.
reason.
Yeah.
For our
So
listeners, would you mind just introducing your sweet family? So, your husband, a little brief bio, and if you feel comfortable, all four of your children.
absolutely. My husband is Miguel Cervantes, otherwise known in some circles as Alexander Hamilton, for 8 years, 4 years in Chicago, and then 4 years on Broadway, with the pandemics sandwiched in there.
Mm.
And we have been together for, I think it's 16 years now, or married for 16 years, and it's been quite the ride, and we have a beautiful family that has come in various iterations over the course of those 16 years. Our son Jackson is 13, and is the spitting image of his father.
Mm.
Although thankfully does have some of like my organizational, um, like I'm like, okay, I do see myself in you, even if you look just like your dad. Um, and then about 2 years after Jackson was born, we got pregnant again, another little boy. His name's Elvis. And at my 20-week ultrasound, we discovered that he had a fatal deformity, that his rib cage was too small and his heart had taken up the entire rib cage, and his lungs never developed. And so uh, he was not going to survive birth. He would probably stay alive in my body because they don't need their lungs to breathe when they're cohabitating with you. But upon birth, he would have suffocated and passed. And so we made the decision to terminate that pregnancy, which we very much wanted, and deeply loved him. And um, I was sort of my first. I call them asteroids. These, like, they're swirling around you, and you have no idea when they're going to fall. And Elvis was sort of that first asteroid that landed at my feet and completely changed the landscape of the way that I looked at life and what I
Mhm.
thought life was about or what it meant. Um, I also I was sorely mistaken in thinking that asteroids are fairly rationed. I thought that, okay, this was like my life's big trauma, and now we're going to move forward. And I'm so glad that we've gotten that out of the way.
Kelly, can I ask you
Um,
a question? How old were you when that happened with Elvis?
so I had Jackson at 30, so I was 32.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was 32.
Still quite young,
Yeah,
young.
Yeah,
very.
no signs earlier that there should have been anything wrong. And all the genetic testing told us it was a lightning strike, that there was that this particular condition, it's just a random change of the gene, and there was no reason to think that anything like that could ever happen again. And so we got pregnant again with our daughter Adelaide. And I was terrified, of course, the entire pregnancy, thinking that, even though we knew that Elvis was a lightning strike, that um, I still was terrified, but every scan came back fine, every measurement. She was healthy pregnancy. Um, Delivery was, she shot out like a cannon. She was
Mm.
like ready to take on the world. Um, but the nurses said she was a little floppy, and so we kind of knew perhaps something wasn't quite right. But also in my mind, we had already gone through our life's big tragedy with Elvis,
Mm.
and so Adelaide had to be okay. Elvis was a lightning strike that wasn't going to repeat itself. So I clung to what I would have said was rationality and hope, but in hindsight was a lot closer to denial
Mm.
as her symptoms progressed. She wasn't meeting milestones. She was having trouble gaining weight. Um, and at 7 months, she had her first seizure, and shortly after that was diagnosed with epilepsy. And um, I'll sort of truncate this part, and we can kind of go back and get into it later. But she she lived a full and vibrant life. Steph, you got to know her and meet her, and she was just full of personality. She was
Mm.
non-mobile, non-verbal, but do not think for one moment that meant that she couldn't communicate with us and tell us exactly what she wanted, what she needed. She let us know very clearly that she hated traditional baby music, Baby Shark, anything like that. Hell no, turn it off. We put on
The Broadway baby.
her
Yeah,
home
jazz
nurse,
Come
baby.
a jazz
on.
baby. Her home
Jazz
nurse put
baby.
on Frank Sinatra, and all of a sudden she calmed. She was opening her eyes, looking around. If her brother snuggled her too hard, she would hit him across the
Mm.
face. And our OT and PT would be like, I don't think she has coordination. I don't think she's capable of like to make. I was like, oh, just you wait. She sure can make contact and have coordination when she wants to hit her brother like a typical little sister. Um, but through all of that, she also had this undiagnosed condition that we were constantly trying to treat the symptoms, and which the list just continued to grow. And then when she was about 3.5 months old, back-to-back MRIs showed that whatever her condition was, because it was still undiagnosed at this point, that it was neurodegenerative, and there was nothing else the doctors could do. It was clear that she was beginning to feel immense pain and she was suffering. And um, 5 days before her fourth birthday, she passed away. Um, and I had no idea what to do with myself. And what my purpose was, what I didn't know. Um, and then we'll sort of jump ahead in time. 2 years after Adelaide died, we got a phone call that there was a little girl in Texas that needed a new family. And Miguel and I had begun discussing adopting. We were actually going to adopt from Colombia, the country. And we're going through the process of that. And then we get this call that there was a little girl in Texas that needed a family, and would we be open to bringing her into our family? And 4 days later, we were on a plane to Dallas and meeting our daughter Anessa for the first time. She was 2.5, and she's now 6.5, and um, she is rainbow and sunshines and
Mm.
perfectly applied red lipstick, who will sword fight with her brother and create pillow fort piles to jump into, but with an impeccably applied face.
Yes, yes,
Um,
perfect, perfect.
It's an amazing story. And the
very,
fact,
very abbreviated.
but the fact that you are able to reach a point in your life where you could be so eloquent about it and then use the experience to help other people.
Yeah.
That's sort of the miracle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I was reading in, I think it was your first book, where you said one of the pet peeves that you had was when people would say, well, everything happens for a reason. These sort of
Yes.
well meaning people, but they would say that and how much it bothered you. And
Yeah.
what occurred to me as I was reading that was e- everything doesn't happen for a reason, but do you believe that our souls pick our journey before we come? Because there's a belief system
Ooh.
that we pick our journey and our parents and who we're going to love, and we're going to help each other fulfill our dharmas.
Yeah.
That agreement between you and your husband and your son and Adelaide was there already before she came, so that you could achieve your dharma, which is to help the greater world and help other
Mm.
parents who are grieving.
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a control freak. I'll put that out there. And so there's part of me that wants to believe that,
Yeah.
but the idea of, I guess if we choose it beforehand, then it is our choice. I struggle with that because I want to be in control and I want to
Hmm.
make the choice in this current iteration. So
Yeah.
I like to say that nothing in life happens for a reason, but I do believe that we can make reason out of the things that happen.
Yeah.
There will never
Right.
be a good enough reason, but I do believe that I can write or bring awareness to termination for medical reasons as
Yes.
a form of abortion and helping people understand that this is not something that most parents want to do, but this is a very necessary option and decision that should be available for families. I do believe that I can bring awareness and raise money for epilepsy research, for undiagnosed diseases, for all of these things and help support other families who are, I was our family's primary breadwinner and overnight became a caregiver. And that was just a total um, mind fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
A
I curse?
total
Sorry.
upheaval.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. Absolutely.
So I think that and so that is how I make reason out of it. I can bring awareness to adoption in all of its beauty and how wonderful it is. But on the flip side, you don't get this beautiful adoption story without a family breaking apart first.
Mm.
Um, and I'm grateful and I'm so happy that we have Anessa and I love her immensely. But I do feel that the systems failed her, and that's
Mm.
why we get to have her. We get to, um, but bringing that awareness to these topics, and in doing so, Elvis gets to live on. Adelaide
Mm.
gets to live on. Um, so it's certainly not completely altruistic. I get to keep all four of my babies with me in that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Keep them alive in your heart and in the spirit and talk about them. And
Yeah.
yeah. But the other thing that you're doing that I think is really important is you're making grief discussable. Because I
Yes.
don't think grief is discussable in our culture. We think of grief as something we're supposed to fix rather than something that we're supposed to move through and live
Yes.
with. And
Or
it just,
move with.
yeah,
Yes,
Yes.
not
move
move
with.
through, move with.
Move
That's
Yeah.
right.
through it and with it, and it stays with you, but it morphs into new things. And the more we ignore or push away, that's just what's going to keep coming back. And I think that we're a culture that doesn't talk about that. So I think
Mm.
Right.
that's something that's really important that you're doing with your work and through these babies is making a really difficult, many really difficult subjects discussable, but especially grief.
And it
Yeah.
only highlights, I think, societies or folks' incapacity to hold that space
Mm.
for recently, kind of piggybacking on what we were just talking about. I believe that our faith is there to help. And whether it's that understanding, like you decided what your life might look like in a contractual agreement in the heavens, or whether you believe in a divine or a God of your understanding, because life is so complicated and layered and painful,
And
right?
precarious.
And precarious. But
Mm.
Mhm.
then on the other side of that is this phrase, which I just recently heard, which is called toxic positivity. And in
Mm-hmm.
that, well, there's always a silver lining. No, we don't have to live in that space. It's not an
Mm.
either or situation. And that's what I think moving with the grief is it's important because it's not going to disappear. There is no timeline, there is no clock ticking. It will be a part of who you are forever and ever. Now it's up to the people around in our society to kind of relearn
Yeah.
that big emotions and tears, this is very normal, very real, how we all would, I think, express ourselves. So it's up to us to allow that space to be like, okay, this is not okay. And we're going to let this be not okay for however long it needs to be. The very
Mhm.
lengthy title of your first book, I have to say it out loud again.
Yeah,
You can say it without me having to go back and look.
yeah,
Go.
no, the Normal Broken, the grief companion for when it's time to heal, but you're not sure you want to. And
You're not sure you want to.
that was my mom is a therapist, and so she kept sending me all of these books, and they were lovely, beautifully written books with the but they were not helpful to me because they all started on chapter one with this assumption that I wanted to heal. And the
Mhm.
problem was that I didn't want to because I didn't understand what healing meant. I thought it meant that I had to let go of my daughter or forget her or move on from her. And this was like that wasn't going to happen. And then it took sort of two back-to-back moments. One, I may have drunkenly signed up for a grieving mother's retreat, weekend
Like
long retreat.
legitimately drunk, you were drunk.
I was drunk. I had had too many glasses of wine, and I thought
You're
that
like,
maybe it would
I'm
be a good
in.
idea. I'm going to do this. And thank God I did.
Uh,
The next morning I woke up and they're like, "We're so excited to see you at the retreat in a
who
couple
are
weeks."
you
And I was like,
people?
"Oh my gosh, what did drunk Kelly do last night?"
It could have been a
Sometimes
lot
drunk
worse.
Kelly has
It
good
could have
ideas.
been worse. You could have woke up in a little, the
Well, that's
county
true.
Actually,
jail.
to be
So,
fair, it was the
yeah,
pandemic. It
yeah.
was less than a year after Adelaide had
Yeah.
passed
No,
away.
no, you're allowed.
I was not. I was unwell.
Yeah.
I was very unwell. And but thank goodness I did sign up for that because in at that retreat, I got to meet all of these other mothers who had also lost children, and
Right.
they were all different ages from all different causes, we all different backgrounds, but we all had this one thing in common. And with those women, no one, like if someone started crying, no one was like, "Are you okay?" Or like trying to, they just sort of sat with you and held your hand and handed you a tissue
Yeah.
and allowed you to be in that moment. Everyone was willing to sit in the dark place with you. But then in the evenings we would listen to 90s rap and R&B and pop music, and like somewhere between Belle Biv DeVoe and the Backstreet Boys we're all dancing and
Yeah.
singing and able to still feel the joy that so
Mm.
many of us had been suppressing.
And that you feel guilty for feeling,
Exactly.
like you're
Or
not
worried,
allowed
oh
to
my
feel
goodness,
joy
what does
anymore.
someone think? Do they think that I'm over my daughter? Do they think I've
Right.
moved on? All
Yeah.
of this. And
Yeah.
I realized that I was still broken. I am always going to be broken. However, I can, with those women, I felt normal broken.
Mhm.
And then it wasn't, I mean, maybe a month later, 2 months later, um, President Joe Biden it was the night before his inauguration, and he was giving us a COVID-19 memorial speech. And regardless of anyone's political beliefs about this man, um, he knows grief. You know, he lost a wife and an infant child. He lost an adult son to brain cancer. Like this man understands loss. And in that speech, he said, "To heal, we must remember." And I had never heard someone describe healing in that way. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a kind of healing that I can do. I will always remember Adelaide. I will, and if by remembering her that's heal, like I can do that. That's so that to me is when I was like, okay, maybe I can get behind this healing thing if it means bringing my daughter with me into the future. And it's not bringing her physically with me in the way that I wish that I could, but I bring her forward with me in my writing. I bring her forward with me when I connect with other epilepsy families or disability families or anyone who is grieving any kind of loss. That is the kind of healing. And again, I'm always going to be grieving her because I'm always going to love her. They're two sides of the same coin. At some point, I think in your grief, the love and the grief are the same. You can't separate the two.
Right.
And but there's beauty in that because I loved her so much. I will always grieve her and miss her and remember her. And I think for me, my goal now is to allow myself those moments when the darkness overcomes and I miss her. I physically miss her. I miss all of the secondary losses that come with grief, the nurses, the doctors, the taking care of her, the all of that. I miss being in the hospital, which sounds bizarre, but it becomes part of your life. And I can grieve that and miss that and take a day or two and live in that. But ideally, a majority of the time, I'm living in this place where her memory brings a smile to my face,
Mm.
where I I think of her and I think of love.
Stages podcast will be right back after a word from our sponsor. You know, some of what you said when you talked about signing up for that group, it reminds me of, I think it might have been our very first season on the show. On Mother's Day, we interviewed a very good friend of mine, Cara Belvin, and she has a program called Empowering. And she lost her mom when she was a kid and kind of carried that through her whole life. And as an adult, now she has her own children, and she came across some children in her town that had also lost their mom. And she started this small program. It started out with just 9 girls, and it was called Empower Her. And she would bring these children together who had lost a mom.
Mhm.
And I would do some volunteer work with her. And one of the things that a child said was, when I come together with this group, I'm not the kid who lost her mom. I'm just one of the kids. And
Yes.
when I walk down the hallway in school, I'm that kid who lost her mom. There's always a piece of me that's just a little different than everybody else. And no one knows how to connect with me. And I don't know how to connect with them because they don't understand. But when I go to this group, I'm just one of them. And I'm allowed to swim and play or be sad and do whatever I want because they're coming from the same place I am. And I think that's
Right.
such a powerful thing. It's such a power of community. It's a power of grief. It's the power of making things discussable. And it's because of people like you and Kara who are unafraid to stand out and talk about your experience unapologetically. You know, these are all the things I feel because these are all the things I am, and I'm going to talk about it. And that frees everybody else to find you and join you in that. And it's so important and so healing, really. It's
Look,
quite beautiful.
we're not that special.
Yeah.
And I that sounds so harsh when I say it. We are special in all of the ways that Mr. Rogers told us on PBS,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
But what we feel, our reactions, our emotions, maybe
Mm,
the specific details of our human experience is unique to us. Not everyone had a husband who was in the one of the biggest shows in Broadway history. Meanwhile, their daughter was in and out of the hospital. Like that's my unique story. However, my response to it, the way it affected my life, my emotion, that is not special or unique to me. There are so many people out there who understand that. And we humans are social creatures. We have always thrived in community. That is why I think that we have survived as long as we have. It's one of our
mhm.
superpowers. And so I always urge people, whether they're getting a new diagnosis or whether they've lost someone or whatever it is, a new job that you're entering, find your community.
Mm,
Find those people who get it, who are going to understand, who you're not going to feel like the only one, that you are going to feel like one of many.
Yeah, because there is a quiet understanding, isn't there, when you are surrounded by your community and you feel like you belong, then you don't have to explain every facet of your life and say, understand me, understand me. I remember when you were in Chicago and I was asking, are you coming back to Maplewood? And you said, well, Miguel is going to go back to Jersey. We're going to hang a little while. And you gave sort of the checklist of all the logistics. And then you quietly said, and I just need to be here because everybody already knows my story. And I don't have to keep telling it over and over. And I know
Yeah.
once I leave Chicago, I'm going to have to explain. And that was a lot. You had this charm necklace with, at the time, it was three initials, your three children. And
Yeah.
you knew you were going to Jersey with Jackson.
Yeah.
And so those three charms, you were like, do I wear the three charms? Is this going to be someone at a supermarket that says, oh, you have three kids? And then how do you answer in the line of a supermarket? And on a day-to-day basis, how does Kelly show up with all this informed life where you
Yeah.
know you're going to run into 1,000 people that have really no clue as to who you are, where you've been, what you carry? How do you show up in life?
It used to cause me immense anxiety to the point where like I couldn't go to the grocery store for well over a year. Miguel had to do all the grocery shopping or we would order the groceries delivered. I like it caused me so much stress and anxiety. Um, it was actually Jackson who helped break that open for me. It was at some point during the pandemic, towards the end, we had already watched every show I think imaginable for a 8-year-old, 9-year-old, and our family. And I was like, oh well, let's go watch these Godzilla movies. And he was like, no, mommy, I don't want to. I'm scared. And I was like, but the monsters aren't real. It's gonna be fine. Awesome parenting, clearly.
You
Not
can
my
see the
best.
strings.
Not my best. He was like, mommy, it's not the monsters that I'm scared of. It's the people's reactions to them.
Mm. Oh
And
my goodness.
I sat back and I was like,
A
oh,
wise one.
I'm not Adelaide's death, Adelaide not being here in that metaphor, like I had put her as the monster, like this, you know, elephant in the room that I was so terrified to talk about. But the truth of the
Mm.
matter is that I wasn't afraid to talk about her. She was all I wanted to talk about. I wanted everyone to know about her. The problem is that I couldn't handle people's reactions to me telling
Mm.
them about her. And once I was able to wrap my head around that it didn't have to do with me. It wasn't my anxiety. It wasn't my problem that they were uncomfortable hearing about her. I was able to reframe that in my mind so
Mm.
that now if someone asks me how many children I have, I'm like, well, we have Jackson who's 13. I have Anessa who's 6.5, and they have and then my daughter Adelaide would be 10. She passed away 6 years ago. And a lot of times people will, oh my, and now it's, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Um, and we sort of move on. But the people who I know are perhaps grief trained or who have
Mm.
also lost someone will stop and in that moment and they'll say, what was her name? Please tell me about her.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah.
And
And
that's
can
all
you pick
anyone
that
wants.
up when you speak with people? You're like, oh, they're sensitive to it. They've either had a loss in their home
Oh,
or they've been
absolutely.
trained. Yeah. Yeah.
hmm I can usually tell either they've had a deep loss or it's very interesting. I'll find someone that you talk to someone early in a conversation and you're like, oh my goodness, this person, there's something about this person. And then I'll find out a week later that they have a sister who is disabled or they lost a father at a young age but there is something in their life where our energies just overlap
Yeah,
Recognize
and
you
we
each other.
recognize
understand
each
that.
other. You recognize
Yes.
each other's experience
hmm
and fragility and strength and all of that comes with it. So you recognize it in each
Yes.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stages podcast will be right back, so don't go away.
You know, you're very candid in the book about Miguel and how at this point in his life, you know, these are the highs of highs we were talking about in the intro. Being Hamilton, being in Chicago, essentially a celebrity there. I mean, a true celebrity. Everywhere you guys are going, there's recognition. He's having to show up for press events. And you know, there's a balance. And in your book, you're very honest. You were like, why don't you know her meds? Why aren't you
Mm,
picking up air quotes the slack? Why? And of course, I can't hear his tone in which he responded to you, but in the book, it was very much, look, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I have to do for our family, and this
Yeah,
is what I need you to do at this time.
yeah,
And it came off almost harsh or shock to the system. And then when I sat and kind of marinated in it, I was like, is that just truly the truth? Like, there needed to be this balance and understanding where these two lives had to exist at the same time.
yeah.
Neither one of you had the reservoir to hold both at the same time. So one
mm.
had to do this while the other had to do this. How did that strike you when Miguel was super honest with you and just said, these are our terms of engagement. I need you to do this. I'm doing this.
Oh, I was furious. I
Yeah.
was, I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
outraged. I resented him so much in the beginning because he got to leave the house. He got to
Mm,
have his own life. He got to go out for drinks after the show. He got a standing ovation for, standing on stage and talking real fast and moving his arms around a lot. And I was at home keeping our daughter alive, and no one was giving me a standing ovation.
yeah.
And it was, and so what I understand now is that my resentment was actually another type of grief. I was
Mm.
grieving a life where I had more independence. I was grieving my life where I was a career woman and now I was dependent upon him. I was grieving this idealized life of what our family was going to look like, having two healthy children. I was resisting this change, resistance to change is just another form of grief.
Mm.
Yeah.
And um, so it took me about a year. It took a solid year for me to accept that this was our life now and then find ways where both Miguel and I could work together in this life to make it the best that it could be. Um, and in the end, it became a beautiful, most fulfilling life I could ever imagine. But I'm not going to pretend that I like him saying that to me, that I took it and was like, yeah, you're right. I was like, no, you're an asshole. And like,
Mhm.
but when I do, now that I have distance and perspective, I look at that, and he had all of this pressure leading the first production of Hamilton outside of New York City. He needed to keep this job because we needed this health insurance. We needed this money. He has all
Sure.
the pressure leading the company, all of the people coming to the show, the producers, all of this. And so he was under an immense amount of pressure. And we needed that job. We
Mm.
needed that health insurance. And so I just didn't want to have to be the one who was solely responsible for this sick kid because it was really hard.
It's a, yeah, it's
And I didn't know what
exhausting.
I was doing, and it was uncomfortable, and it took me time to kind of step up to the plate and realize that A, I could do this, that B, I could enjoy doing this, and that perhaps I actually got the better end of this deal because I got to have all of this time with her. How incredible was it that he did have this job so that I could be home with her? I can't
Mm.
imagine if I had to be at work and Miguel was the one who was taking care of, I would have lost my mind.
Or the both of you had to be at
Yeah,
work and she was with another caregiver.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is, happens all too often. I got there
Yeah.
eventually, and
Yeah.
it didn't, and it took compromise. Like I needed to be able to leave the house and leave Adelaide with Miguel, and it was a lot of communication, and a
In what
lot of emotional openness.
And what you just said, saying, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm.
What I loved in reading your book was watching you grow in advocacy, doing all the work to understand your child, the disease, the way hospitals work, the way billing works, the way insurance work. And I was like, we all have to do this with our own lives. The advocacy for yourself and what you know you're feeling, witnessing, doing. Tell me about what some of those conversations looked like. And did you have that bravery right away? Or were you like, no, 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 no. It took some time, but now I might know more than you do because on a day-to-day basis,
And
I
you
am
know your
dealing with this
child.
beautiful. You're right.
You know your child. They
That's
don't know
your
your child.
human.
Yeah.
But that's a double-edged sword because,
Okay.
yes, no one knew Adelaide better than I did, but I didn't have a medical degree,
Yeah.
right? And so when we say you know your child best, and that is 100% the truth, no one knew her better than me. But that's a whole lot of pressure because I was being tasked with making decisions about her medical care because she was diagnosed, because doctors didn't know what was going on. They would say, do you want to try this medication and these are the side effects? Or should we try
Uh-huh.
this medication with these side effects? Do you want to do this test? Should we do this surgery? What do you think? You know her best. And I'm like, the pressure that that
Mm.
puts on a
Yeah.
patient or a caregiver is immense when there isn't, we do this and then we do this and then we do
It's
this.
exploratory. And so you're like, I don't want
Exactly.
my
And
kid to be
and
the guinea pig everybody's trying things
and
on.
so absolutely I knew her best, but I found that to be a tricky place sometimes to be in because I don't have a medical degree, although I did like to say I had a PhD in Adelaide. They call it practicing medicine for a reason.
Right.
Uh-huh.
They are
Practice.
practicing. This is not, nothing about this is solidified.
Right.
They are always learning. This is science, and science improves, and we learn more each and every year. So, in time, I learned that the doctors would pay more attention to me if I used their language. So, instead of saliva, it was secretions. Instead of,
Oh,
like, you learn to use the doctor lingo, and then they would be like, "Oh, are you in medicine?" And I'm like, "No, I'm a mom, but I know that you're going to take me more seriously if I use your language."
Mm.
And which only I always think about all of the families that are out there that don't speak English as a first language or are
Yes.
new
yeah.
to this country
Yeah.
or have a different color skin so they're not taken as seriously or whatever the thing. Like, I had every advantage going for us and I still struggled to get
Mm.
her the care that we needed. They say in the rare disease world that doctors are trained to look for horses, but sometimes your kid's a zebra.
Yeah.
And it just, they're not going to fit the horse model because they're different. And so that's when I found that my voice was going to be the most useful, was when it came to those care specific pieces. I don't understand the science, but I know how my daughter responds to care and that I could help guide her team on how to treat her the best.
Do you find
Right.
that throughout the rest of your life since this experience, you are much more vocal about your own needs and your own demands and what's best for you in other
I
areas of your life? Have you
I
learned to
would
speak
like
up?
to say yes. I am certainly with my children. So Anessa has some learning disabilities, and um, you better believe that girl has the best IEP out there. She is. I think I might have terrified the team at the school because I was going to make sure that I was like, you don't, I have a doctorate in advocacy in parent advocacy at this point. Don't test me. But what's interesting is that when it came to myself, so I was diagnosed with breast cancer earlier this year, and
Mm.
I am fine. I am on the other side now, completely cancer free. Knock on wood, everything stays that way.
Yeah.
Um, but it was interesting when I was first uh, diagnosed, and it was so fascinating to me because they came to me and they were like, "This is the kind of cancer. This is how we're going to treat it. This is the timeline." Everything was laid out, and I was so impressed because nothing with Adelaide was ever like that.
Mm.
And so,
Right.
because they were so sure and confident, I just trusted them. And I was like, okay, clearly this is easy to treat and we know what's going on. And then I had a lumpectomy. And we go in to see the doctor after the lumpectomy, and the doctor's like, well, whoops. First of all, the tumor was 3 times the size that we thought it was. And also, there's an entirely other kind of cancer that is also in your breast that we had no idea that existed, and it is spread throughout your entire breast. Thankfully, it hadn't gone to my lymph nodes, so I didn't need chemo. But it was this wake up call to me that even in this moment where I thought that everything was so certain, they're still practicing medicine.
Right. Right.
And I was angry with myself because had I been giving advice to anybody else, I would have said, you need to go get a second opinion. You always get a second opinion. And I didn't do that. And I did after the fact. And that surgeon was like, honestly, from your scans, this is exactly what I would have said for you to do as well. I ended up having to get a mastectomy, but I was so upset because I had an entire additional surgery that I didn't need to have. I
Right.
should have just had a mastectomy from the beginning.
Right.
And um, so I would like to say that yes, I do advocate for myself better, but I'm still learning. I think we're always learning. And I also think it's so much easier to advocate for others than it is for ourselves. Same.
Can
But
I ask you to go way back, before you were married, before you had children?
yeah.
How did you meet your husband? And did you have aspirations for the theater, or were you always an aspiring writer, or what? Tell me about little
Yeah.
you.
So I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. I went to college in Boston. I loved Omaha, but I was wildly aware that there was a big world out there and
Yeah.
I wanted to see it. I've always been ambitious and a smidge competitive. And
You're
Steph
so
laughs.
funny.
So I college in Boston. My dad did not want to pay for a theater degree. So get this mouthload. I ended up with a degree in communication studies, a dual concentration in organizational communication and public speaking, and a double minor in business and religious studies.
Oh,
Essentially,
wonderful.
I took every class that a non-theater major could, and then ended up with a public speaking degree, and then moved to New York to pursue acting anyway. I loved it until I didn't,
Hmm.
until the industry really, look, you guys know it is not
It's
for the,
rough.
it is a really rough industry. And I think that there are a lot more guardrails in place now than there were in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
Um, but I met Miguel, and
How'd you meet?
uh,
In a reading, or when you were in a
so
show
he
together?
was doing a show with my roommate,
Okay.
But
who
it
was
was a
from
setup,
Nebraska.
wasn't it?
Oh,
A
we were
little.
totally set up.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
roommate, he was like, "You have to meet this guy." I was 23 years old. I was like, "He needs to be taller than me. He can't be an actor because my career needs to come first." I mean, just like ridiculous.
23-year-old thoughts. Yeah, 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 yeah,
23-year-old, right?
yeah.
Like
Totally
very,
normal.
very normal, right?
Yes.
And I meet Miguel, and it was at Theater Works USA. It was a children's theater show. My roommate was playing the dog. Miguel was a 7-year-old boy. It was not exactly a major turn on,
My God, I did
shall
a
we
theater
say.
works. I did a theater works lady when I first got there.
Get your
And
dues.
right. And Miguel comes up to me afterwards because Jeff has like talked me up or showed him my headshot. And he's my height. He's all sweaty from performing in this like hot rehearsal room. And I was like, "Oh, that's sweet. No, thank you." And then, but Jeff, my roommate, he would not be deterred. So several months later, I'm out to dinner for a girlfriend's birthday, and I get a text message from Jeff saying, "SOS, come home." I open the door thinking that there's like been a fire or a flood or someone died. And Miguel and Jeff are sitting on the couch watching a football game. And Jeff just starts smiling, laughing. Miguel is clueless as to the fact that we've just been set up. And I was like, all right, well, we're going dancing for my friend's birthday. You're welcome to come with. Now, Jeff is like a 300-pound Nebraska boy, like drinks Budweiser's at the pub. He is
Yeah.
not, $20 to $25 cocktails at the
Not
club
giving
kind
you
of.
moves on the dance floor. Yeah, with an
No,
expensive drink in hand.
no. I was like, you guys are welcome to come with. And they said yes. But it turns out that Miguel can dance. Um, and several, vodka cranberries in, I was like, yeah, let's go. Um,
You make really good life choices while drunk, Kelly Cervantes.
I do. This is true. You're
Really?
onto something, Steph.
Neat.
Um, he did have to break up with his girlfriend first, but that happened, and a week later, we've been together ever since. And
Yeah.
I see our lives as layers. So in The Luckiest, every single chapter of the book is a different layer of my life. And thinking about acting, I eventually left the industry because I had we wanted to start a family and we needed health insurance and a stable income. And Miguel was working on Broadway, but you do a Broadway show and then you're unemployed
Mm.
for a year or so. And then hopefully you get another show and then you're unemployed, so there was no consistency. And I had the opportunity to work for Tom Colicchio's restaurant group, coordinating and selling events. And I was like, oh, hey, turns out I really love having health insurance and making money. I loved being able to
Plus, that's
purchase
a
our
fun
first
job.
home in
That's a
Maplewood.
fun job. I have a friend who does that, and it's a really fun job.
So much fun.
Yeah.
And so it was, but I look at that, the performance piece and then the events and hospitality piece, advocating for, learning how to be an advocate and caregiver for Adelaide. And then all of that carries through to
Yeah.
my writing and speaking and continued
Yes.
advocacy that I'm doing now. I can get on a stage because of the public speaking and the performance.
Of
I
course. Yeah.
can get out there and fundraise because I know sales and I know how events work. I do all of this because of Adelaide, because of that advocacy, because I see the need in these communities. Every aspect of our life builds on each other. And while there's 101 things I wish I could change about my past, not least of which is that I wish Adelaide was still with me. But I don't get to appreciate the life I have now, and the life I have now is so beautiful. You
Mm.
guys, it is really lovely. It's hard. It's not easy. Every day is hard, but it is a really beautiful life. And I don't get to appreciate this life and have this life without all of those layers that came before.
Well, we had the great Gavin Creel on the show, and he read us a poem, Everything is Both. And since the day he said that to me, I think I've said it to myself every day.
Every day.
Everything is both. Everything is
Everything.
both. Everything.
It's all of it.
Sorrow and joy,
Yeah.
disappointment and hope,
Struggle
grief
and ease.
and love.
Grief
That's
and
right.
joy. It's
That's right.
everything.
It's
What do you
everything.
do? We usually end every single interview, and we will, with 5 questions. Before we get to those 5 questions, though, what do you do to self-regulate? Are there little practices that you do for yourself that can just settle you in the moment?
My best reset technique is a cat nap. I will
Good.
go and lay down and like 20 minutes and like
Oh,
reset.
God.
That's a great power. Me neither. Me neither, Mary
My
Lee.
husband is so good at that, and I resent it so much because I lie there for the first
Yeah.
30 minutes
Yeah.
making lists, and then I pass out for an hour, and then I wake up guilt-ridden because I didn't
Or
do
what day
anything
is
to
it?
pass
Where am
out.
I?
Yeah,
What
I
happened?
can't.
Yeah.
No,
You're
I
Ebenezer
bad at
Scrooge.
it.
What day is
I
it? Is it Christmas Day? Did I miss everything?
Just
I set an
awful.
alarm, and so I know that the alarm will wake me up. I trust in the alarm, and then I
Yeah.
can just lay down because at night I can't. My mind spins, and I'm
Oh,
like,
Sure.
I do
okay.
that at night when I
But
go to
that cat
bed.
nap keeps
Yeah, but the
you
little like I
together.
can re-regulate myself and get up and be like, okay, I can do this now. Like I just have to hit a momentary pause,
Yeah.
and
Isn't it
then
so hard to get to know yourself well enough to know when you need those things, though?
yeah,
I feel like I'm almost 60 years old and I still am not good at catching my own signs when I need to
Mm,
stop and breathe
mm,
and get some perspective and get out of
mm.
my brain. And
yeah.
I get
Re-
so
mean.
I
it
do
was
too. I
grief
get
I
that
really
treat
taught
mean.
people
me
the way
that.
I'm like, this is not Stephanie. This
Not
is
good.
not who I am.
Yeah,
It's time to remove myself for a hot second.
But I
yeah.
Yeah.
think that's the thing. It's just like in medicine, right? We're always growing. We're always learning. We're always
Yeah, we're
trying to
practicing
improve.
life, aren't
We're
we?
Thank
practicing life.
goodness,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
don't want to be the same person that I was when I was 23 years old. Like,
Yeah.
what a beautiful thing that we're constantly growing and evolving.
That's
Yeah.
right. We'll be right back with the 5 questions, so don't go away.
Your perfect sandwich. What does that look like and taste
Ooh,
like?
perfect sandwich would be like an Italian sub with like all the meats and provolone cheese. Yum,
Do you do
done.
olive oil and vinegar, salt,
Yes.
and pepper? Are
Yes.
you a ciabatta bread or a sourdough bread or a Italian rye? What are you looking at?
Ooh, ciabatta.
Ciabatta.
Because then it like soaks up all of the oil. Oh,
Yep. Do you want a pickle on the side or are you not a pickle girl?
give me all the pickles.
Me too. Give me
Give
all the
them
pickles.
all to me.
Okay. Um, Tell us something about yourself that most people don't know.
Um, I
Like, do you have a party trick, or can you do something that most people don't know about?
oh, I have a new party trick. It's only mildly appropriate. Um,
Depending on how many drinks you've had.
That's
exactly.
correct.
So, fun fact, when you get a mastectomy, one of the ways that they do that is that they cut the muscle on your breast tissue, the muscle, your chest muscle. And so, as a result, I can flex my boobs like The Rock.
Yes.
Really normal. Miguel is like, what is happening right now?
Who's that character in Moana? You're welcome. That's what I'm picturing. That guy.
The Rock.
The Rock.
Yes.
That's The Rock.
This is a new question, but I think it might be great for us as well. Tell me 3 micro joys that happen most every day for you. Ooh,
Us.
good new
Love that.
question.
Eating dinner with my family, all of us together. Like
Love it.
it's one of the most beautiful moments, and I always find myself just smiling and being happy, just looking at my whole family at the table together. Um, every morning, Jackson comes downstairs in the morning and he gives me a hug still, even at 13. I get my good morning hug, and that brings me so, so much joy.
Lucky
Um,
mama.
Mhm.
and every night before I go to bed, Miguel always kisses me goodnight. Even if I'm in bed already, um, or if he's in bed, like no matter what, we kiss each other goodnight before we go to sleep. It's like
Steph, we
the
have to do
last thing we
yours.
do in the day. It's simple, but it's like it completes the day
I love
and
this
ends it in
question.
love.
I love this question. So, Steph, you
My
do it.
mine is roving a little bit, but recently, um, the way the light has been hitting, we have a little pool in our backyard. The way the light has been hitting the pool, when I am making breakfast for Vives or at a certain particular point of the day, there'll be a little mini rainbow in my kitchen.
Mm.
And that is so magical to me. That's one of my micro joys. Another micro joy, so not like yours. I got a new magnifying mirror that allows me to see all of the things that I need to block on my face. And that, I can't tell you the satisfaction going, I got them.
Oh
I got
my
them all. I'm going to walk out
God.
into the world and there aren't going to be because the eyesight is going, right? And
Mhm.
so
Oh,
you
yeah.
think you got
There,
them all, but you
yeah.
didn't.
I just
This
don't look
mirror
in the magnifying mirror anymore.
allows
That's
me,
done.
allows me. Um, and right now, Vives is at a place where she just keeps saying, I'm so proud of you, Mama. My friends think you're the coolest, Mama. There's a lot of, right now in my world, my kid is honoring me with a lot of acceptance and pride and like lifting me up. I want you to know I do the same for her. But to hear a 10-year-old just be like, you're cool, Mama. I like your voice. I hear your emotions when you sing, Mama. There's been a lot of that recently.
Oh,
I
And
love
that's
that.
not even a micro joy. That's like,
That's just a
that's
that's
a
big
a
old
big,
joy.
big thing. How
yeah,
about you,
that's
ML?
Oh God. Well, we hike the dogs every morning in the
Oh,
woods.
yeah,
So
of
that is like
course.
we literally just wake up and go, like get dressed warm, no matter what, snow, rain, whatever we go. And I love that. I get a lot out of that. Lately I've been trying to make friends with the crows in my yard. So I have a big thing with birds, and feathers are my guides. Like whenever I'm
uh-huh.
Ah,
questioning, feathers just land in front of me and I know, okay, I'm on the right way. So I bought all these crow feeders and I have them all around the yard and I'm making friends with all the birds because I want to be friends with all the crows
how is
because
a crow feeder different than a normal bird feeder?
they eat whole shell peanuts
Oh,
and
okay.
corn, like dried corn, and they don't pick them out of a little bird thing. It's like a tray. hang
It's like a
from.
trough almost.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh.
So I go out there with a crow whistle and I try to like, because I'm crazy. And I would say it has to be my son. Every time he sees me in the hallway, I get a big old Seb hug. And I'm so like, he's 20 years old. And I mean, I say it every day. Like, I just feel like I just won the jackpot with that dude in my life. So yeah, those are my three. I love this
Amazing.
question. We're going to ask this question to everybody now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's
All right,
fun.
you're up next. This
Oh.
is question number 4.
Okay. Okay, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, teleportation. I have always wanted to be like in two places at once. Like I like that. I want to be able to like blink my eyes and just be where I need to be.
Don't you say that in your book? Do you
Yeah,
talk?
I do.
You do. I was like, wait, I think I heard her say
That's a
this.
bit I
'Cause
had
listened to you on
forgotten.
tape, so now I've heard your voice say that twice.
Yeah, no, it's a normal broken because then I was like, oh wait, but then I don't have any more excuses about
Well,
why
why
I
you
can't
can't
be
be there? That's
somewhere.
Yeah.
I
right.
was like,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I need to rethink that one a little
That's
bit.
so
But
funny.
God, more on your plate. Just what you need, Kelly. Okay, last question. If you were nail polish color, what's the color and what's the cheeky little name of that nail polish color?
ooh, um, so I my favorite, it's like this, it's like a creamy off-white, and it's like
Ooh.
marshmallow cloud.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I would buy that. I want it to have a scent though too. But although your day would be like this,
I
and that would look weird.
know. Although
Uh,
recently I've been doing everything in orange because of the cover of the book, and so
yeah.
I've had
Which
all
did
the
you choose this specifically? Because it really is vibrant and it really evokes like an emotion, this particular
yeah,
color.
I'm so happy. We went through a lot of iterations and we finally got to that one. It was a journey to get
Oh,
there. But when the designer, the fourth, fifth batch of covers came through, because I was a little bit neurotic on the cover looking exactly right.
yeah.
Um, because and also because Normal Broken, the cover of that, I loved it so much with that beautiful green palm leaf with the
Yes.
ladybug on it, and it was just it evoked the exact feeling. So I was like, okay, I know this is possible to evoke that feeling with a cover, and so, but we finally got there, and I'm a big vibrant color person.
Hmm.
I need color in my life. I always have. That's a micro joy for me,
Well, and it's funny
100%.
because orange is chakra 2, which is like
Mm,
your second chakra, so your ovaries, your
no
and it is
way.
quite literally the center of our emotional state.
And children, bearing children.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
it's
oh, wow, wow,
what you birth
wow.
into the world. Not only children, though. It's the birth of creativity, the
Creativity.
birth of books, the birth of words
Oh, I
and
love
music.
this
And the
so
color is
much.
orange, and it's where it's called your emotional, the seat of your emotional center. But not only that, this is really interesting. The life lesson in this chakra is about letting go of control. It's
She
about
laughs
it's
maniacally.
about going with the flow in life and learning that you have no choice but to flow and
I
let
feel
go.
like
Oh,
maybe that was the contract that I made before. They were like, you are going to live a life where you have to learn that you have no
I'm
control.
telling you, the
And here I
chakras
am,
don't lie,
43 years
man.
old, and still stubbornly trying to
The
flip the
chakras do
script.
not lie. It's really funny because the more you start to learn about them, the more you can see these really funny just guideposts right in front
Wow.
of you. Like your psyche was picking that.
Yes.
It's
were
really
you
funny.
drunk?
Yeah. No, pretty sure I was sober for that one,
Okay,
but
okay. Well, I was going to say it is
whatever.
another perfect choice. So
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
you know
I don't
what's
know.
interesting is that when
Hysterical.
you are inebriated, you have less control,
Less
right?
control.
And you
Correct.
are
Yeah.
Right.
I
going
actually
with
did think
like,
that when you said that, but I didn't feel like I could say
yeah,
it then. But now I
interesting.
can say it. That's
My
funny. Oh,
intuition leading the
Well, you
way.
are all of the things. You are living the fullest life and you are beautiful and you're a warrior and you're so beautifully spoken. And thank you. Thank you
and
for your
thank you. I know we
time.
kept you a long time, and I
Oh,
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
thank you,
Yeah.
ladies, so much. This was such a lovely conversation. I appreciate you.
Now, what struck a chord with us?
Oh, what in a like that took my breath away, that sort of
Yeah.
awareness and connectivity. And look, what she has lived through, what she shares with us, are just a few of the asteroids. Did she say asteroids? Is that how
Yeah,
she
the
referred to them?
asteroids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened in her life. I know everything, when put in writing, is much, it holds a different weight. You
Yeah.
know this as a writer, right?
Yeah.
You say it, it comes out, it just sort of goes into the ether. You write it down, and all of a sudden you go, oh, wow, I've got to do that. Or, oh, wow, that really is that. And so to read her books and to see her life in this sort of chronological yet emotional, as she puts it, the layers, we would say stages, but the layers, um, man, there were a lot of asteroids in her life. And the last being her breast cancer, which I wasn't even aware of.
I wondered if you were aware of that. I
I
had
think
no
she
idea.
would be comfortable with me saying, when we tried to connect with her on a different date, she literally said, I'm having my breast tattooed. And I was like, what is this sassiness that's happening?
Oh
The
my
breast
God.
tattoos. And so I, in my very Stephanie way, wrote something kitschy and clever. And she said, no, 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 no. I had to have breast surgery and I am now having nipples being tattooed
Wow.
onto the skin, which, of course, I go, oh, insert foot in mouth, which again is
Yeah,
very
but
Stephanie. But this was another thing where I just go, holy mackerel, any one of these things. And I want to say in her life, but you can really say in anyone's life, can knock you down, but it's not, it's the response to me that makes her a hero. It doesn't knock her out. Like she just keeps leveling up.
she's
You
doing
know,
something really good in the world. She's
yes,
helping people,
yes.
other people navigate. Yeah. Is her husband still in Hamilton?
No, he's not. He's doing a whole bunch of new readings. I'm excited for him with the prospects that are out there. But he too has had this major transition where he now has a batting cage in Maplewood, New Jersey, and does baseball camps,
Oh,
different
fun.
parties, coaching, or kids can just go, not kids, anyone who loves baseball goes in and, hits the
Oh,
ball right
that's
there.
so
And
cool.
isn't that something?
So you knew
Yeah.
her when you lived in Maplewood together.
Very well, yeah.
So
Seb and Miguel did this incredible thing at Lincoln Center called Happiness. So we
oh,
became
okay.
close with them then. I do remember sitting beside her on the train going into New York, where she told me the story of Elvis and, having to let go of that pregnancy. And I think it was again in the mid to late 20 months of that and what that looked like. And
And so
yeah.
you knew Adelaide
Oh,
because
yes.
they were in Maplewood before they moved to Chicago.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I got to hold and
Oh,
squeeze and
sweet.
snuggle up with. And when we were in Chicago, we spent quite a bit of time with them as families because I was there out of town with Cher Show while he was there with. And so, yeah, Adelaide would be all dressed up for the 4th of July and we would snuggle together. And there was another beautiful thing at Adelaide's memorial. Kelly speaks about wanting to share and give, but what she didn't speak on was how soon she was open and ready to do that. At Adelaide's memorial, there was this little basket of all the little hair clips that Adelaide had worn.
Mhm.
And she encouraged us all to take one, wear it. Vivi wore a clip in her hair years.
Aw.
And yeah, it was really special to know that just little bits and pieces of this incredible child were just walking around on other adults and children. And
Yeah.
she was a special one. And Kelly's right. I mean, her opinions were made known, even though she was nonverbal. There was a massive personality in this kid.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that was very touching.
Never know
Yeah.
the story of someone that you're passing by.
'Tis true, my friend. All right. I love you.
I love you too. Happy
see you
everything.
Stages podcast is produced by Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Join us on social media pages or sign up for the mailing list at stagespodcast.net. That is also where you will find Stages swag. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share and rate and review the show. It really helps us grow. Big thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for the original music, and Allison Arns, who has been with us since day one. See you soon.